Mylira up. Now, I'm not saying my yay. I'm saying Mylira because she said don't be messing my name up. She don't play with that mess her name up stuff. So Mylira is up right now. Mylira Green is wonderful. I send people, and I don't know if she knows I'll be sending people to her, but I send people to her. If you want somebody to talk to you with sound advice and be calm and sweet and make you understand it, not make you feel bad and make you get it, that's who she is. And she's here to talk to us today about romances. Get your hands together for Mylira Green.
We love Mylira.
Welcome.
Ooh. Hi.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the show.
Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Good. We need to talk to you. I need to talk to you when the show over because I'm out of a relationship again, Mylira.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
I know it is.
I got you. Or maybe it wasn't the right time. And I tell people all the time, sometimes the wrong person shows up at the right time. You be ready.
Remember, I got flued out and now I'm back at home. So I need you, girl.
I got you. I put you on my schedule. I got you.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to find my clips in here because I had a picture of you I want to show. Doggone it, I can't find that picture of me, you, and your aunt. Boy, that aunt of yours is something. Now, is that your mama's sister?
So that was actually my grandma. That's my dad's mom. Mm-hmm.
Grandma is wild. You can bring her to any show. Grandma got a 69 on her upper thigh. She said, I'm 69 years old. Here, let me show you. I'm like, wait, Grandma, wait. She had more fun at the show than anybody. But wait, she come into the green room and start writing on the wall. Only the headlights can write on the wall. I look over the corner. There's Grandma over there writing. I said, hold up, you can't do that. She was wonderful. She is great. She is great.
That. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Where your light comes from. Hey, anybody out there, if you have your relationship questions, you need to throw them up right now because it's only a 7-minute segment. Don't wait till the last section. He said, why y'all so little? Zoom in. We can't zoom no more than that. Rich wants to know why we so little.
I think it might be his device.
What's he on that little phone and trying to look that little?
Can you see us now, Rich? Jeff, can you see us now?
Jeff, you might be aging. They say the first thing to go is the eyeballs.
Katie, ask Mylira your question because I know it's gonna be good.
Okay, Mylira, if you're in a relationship and there's a big age difference, what's the best way to try to make that work? Where it's like a middle ground.
Boys. No, wait a minute. This is a chat. This is a family show. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I did that already, Michael. Don't worry about that.
So I actually had one of my friends recently ask me this question, and I told her a lot of the times we focus on labels that we put definitions to that we just don't let life happen. So just because somebody's a certain age don't mean that they're mature or that they lack maturity. It's really about how can you guys make it work in the sense of the thing that I don't have to put too much hard work into, then it actually will work. So instead of us looking at the age different, I need to look at maturity. I need to look at your value system. I need to look at what are some of the things that even brought us together because we're here for a reason and probably it wasn't the age at first. So when we are looking at this, it's really important for us to ask ourselves, why is age so important in the first place? Because I know some people who, like myself, I'm 30, but all of my friends are 39 years old and older. And when I say 39 years old and older, my recent oldest friend turned 61. So for me, I'm that person that attract older people. So it will be difficult for me to be with people that's in my age group because of my maturity and my experience and just the things that I do. So it's less about age and more about where is that person and if they can actually meet the needs that I have, or how is it when we're together?
All right, listen, I'm going to drop you out so I can pop in. See, only 3 of us could be here if the picture big enough for Jeff. Jeff is a senior citizen too, so he be having a hard time seeing them little pictures. Okay, I got one I need to ask you. Okay, talk for a moment about the circle of 2. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I really think that when you're in a relationship, you become a circle of two, and that it's you and your lover. You're the circle that creates the whole, and that nothing should come in and interfere with that. I have one friend who's dealing with something that I've dealt with too, where they're in competition with their husband's sibling. Like one of the siblings takes a side, so the husband takes a side with the sibling, and I don't know how that works. But see, in my book, the circle of two is me and Sonia. That's it. Nobody can come and interfere with that. I don't have a relative in my family, not a brother, not a son, none of them folks who can come in and say, well, we should do this or we should do that, because I always consult first and foremost with my queen. And I know that me and her together can deal with anything. But talk a little bit about that circle of two, because it's a situation for real.
It really is. And I'm not even going to lie. I feel like I was someone who didn't understand the circle of two until very recently. So my dad is like my Superman. So growing up, I would call him if I need any advice. If something came up, if the car broke down, I'm calling my daddy. So when my husband and I first got married 9 years ago, I didn't know how to stop that, you know? So like if there was an issue that came up, I was not calling my husband. I was calling my dad. And then my husband get to the house and he's like, why your daddy here? And I'm like, because he fixing my car. So as small as that was for me, I had to realize how I was. And honestly, my therapist made me understand this recently. She said, Mylira, I don't think that your dad is the head of your household anymore. And I said, wait a minute. The head of my household, what are you talking about? And she was talking about just that. I allowed for the advice of my father, which is great advice, and all of that to triumph my husband's voice. So recently what I've done is, again, like you just said with you and Sonia, we come and consult first. I'm going to call my husband first if I have a problem. I'm going to talk to him about it first. And then we are the ones that come together and create that solution. And if we need advice from other people, we go together and decide before we even go, like, what advice are we looking for? So I think sometimes it's habit that keeps us from having that circle of two, especially depending on the role that person played in your life before your significant other came. So if that person's sibling was all they ever had, then they're going to default to that person, because no matter if you get married or not, you're still building a consistent thing of trust. So if this person was my secure attached base, if they're the ones that always had the answer for me, I'm going to go to them before I come to you. But it has to be a cognizant decision to switch to the circle of two. Because at first you had your own circle, your own bubbles, your own support. Now when it's y'all two, come together with each other, especially if there's a problem. So I tell people this all the time. Be mindful of who you let in your relationship, especially if you guys are going through a difficult or rough patch. Because if I go and I tell my family and my friends everything wrong that's going on, and then we decide to work it out or whatever, they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Now they don't like him or her, because all I know is all the negative you told me when you were in your feelings. So that also is part of that circle of two, is come together with your significant other, brainstorm, solve problems together. And if you can't do it together, then you decide together, what is it that we need the answer to? And then you can go to someone that you actually trust, that you know is not going to judge or impede their own personal thing on you. And then they'll actually keep that going.
See, you know, I only give examples of people who are actually in my family. You know, so if I say something about something that's going on out there, there's something somewhere in my huge family, someone is dealing with that dynamic. Like I would like to talk about the dynamic of dealing with your grown children after you remarry. You know, so after you marry, because a lot of times your grown children be trying to have say and sway. And they don't get that. They don't get that in my family. In my family, if your ass grown, you grown. My son, 44, he grown. He don't have no say so about what me and my queen are going to do or not going to do. And if he had a say, I'm going to talk to her first, and then we're going to decide how we deal with it. But a lot of times, the other mate is so attached to that thing you was talking about, the person who's always been there for them, that they always use them as the default. They always go to them. But you have to, as you said, the answer, you have to train yourself to understand that this is my union. The two of us are the pillar that stands together as long as we don't let other people come chipping away at it. And when you think like that, then your relationship stays strong throughout, I think.
Absolutely. And I'll tell people on the outside too, like, keep your mouth closed. Like, everybody don't need to know your opinion. And I think that's the hardest thing too. We're in a world where people just share how they feel and what they think all the time, but not when it's needed, right? So what you'll see is, like you were just saying, an adult kid. If your parent is moving on and they happy, and even if they're not happy and they're still moving on, close your mouth. It ain't your life. Like, if they mess up their life, I know you care about mama, you care about daddy, but let them do it, you know? And only share your opinion when you're invited. Like, that's something I'm working on too. I'm the person that always have people answers. So I'm like in problem solve mode all the time. But what I'm learning is let people invite me to share my opinion. I know I have a lot of expertise, but that doesn't mean that I need to sit here and share it with you all the time. So if they didn't tell me that they need my advice with them and their relationship, I took all the time. I'm never going to tell you to leave or stay. Now, if your safety is at risk or things like that in my profession, I have to make sure that you're safe. But outside of that, no, if you want to get your behind whipped every day, and I've already told you, I'm not going to sit here and carry your burden. So I think as individuals, we need to stop taking personal what's happening in other people's lives, because they're making a decision and a choice to be in their situation. So if you don't like your stepdaddy, it's okay. Show up to the wedding for your parent. If you don't like the person that your kids is marrying, shut your face up, show up for your kid and go. Like, I think we need to stop making things about us and really think about it. Say we love a person, love them and show up. And if you can't show up and all those things, keep it to yourself, whatever issues you have, because when you go home at night, you ain't going home with them. They're not going home with you. So be there and be supportive. So I think we just need to shift our perspective when it comes to relationship and things like that. I can love you, but I ain't got to like what you're doing. I can love you, but I ain't got to support what you're doing. And then you go from there.
What were you trying to get in, Katie?
When Mylira said something, one of you guys said something about the fact that you always been letting people in your relationship. This is something that women do this all the time. Men do it too. Quit going to run tell everybody all the bad stuff about your mate. When I got divorced, I am a divorcee, everybody. When I got divorced, everybody's like, you getting the divorce? They had no clue. And I had been finished 2 years before, and we was at the 10-year mark. I was done.
So you have been finished 2 years before. Go ahead. I've been there.
I went through the breakup with him. I went through when the last day was the last day. It was I went to the club after that. That's how I met Mr. Earl. But I went to the club and met Mr. Earl as soon as we separated. But nobody ever knew all the bad stuff because I knew I wasn't finished at first. I knew I wasn't finished, and I didn't want people to come back and be like, oh, he's bad, he's mean, why are you still with him? Because that carries a burden on your circle of two. That carries a burden that lets them in. That puts them in. You can't be
caring about what these people say. If they're outside the circle, you shouldn't let that phase you. That has to bounce off you like water off the back of a duck. You got to ignore the folks who's outside the circle.
But if it's a circle, they should have never been in it in the first place to even have an opinion.
But they're not in it. They're not in it. The point is, it's up to you whether they're in it or not. Because you can let them be in it, or you could take the position, no, like Sonia's my queen. Can't nobody say nothing to me about Sonia. Nothing unless it's sweet and good things. It's not acceptable. I'm not hearing it. I wouldn't give a damn if they got videos and photos. That's my boo. Right. That's my heart, and that's what I live for. So people could come on with their shit. But it don't matter because we know who we are to each other, and we hold on to each other like you got to do it like for dear life. You and your mate, you got to hold it like it means everything because it means everything.
Yeah. Right. And I would say like one of the biggest things that we're talking about as well that's super duper important is with that circle of two, it needs to be that constant communication to keep it a circle. Because I think what tends to happen too is that lack of communication is the thing that allows for the distractions or allow for the holes to show up to let external things come in and have even more value than your significant other. So if we're not having that conversation, because it's easy to say, you know, don't tell people on the outside what's happening in your relationship and things like that. But what if I can't talk to my significant other about what's going on? Then what do I do with those emotions and those feelings and things like that? And then people are still leery of therapy and all this stuff. So what I would recommend is for that circle of two to really, really work. There needs to be communication about those tough topics or those tough emotions and feelings. So then I don't feel like I need to go to my best friend that's going to be like, girl, I told you to leave anyway. Or I don't feel like I need to go to my parent and be like, he ain't doing nothing, because if we're not talking, I'm still going to have to get it out in some way. So if y'all circle's not tight enough to communicate, then have your own trash can. There's what therapy comes in at. That's where life coaches come in at, and different pieces, until you guys can grow and build together to be able to have those difficult conversations.
We only got time for one last thing. Come on, Straya, what you got?
I mean, well, she kind of, Katie and her she walked into it and answered it, because I was just going to say, but what if you don't have that? I think a lot of times in relationships with people, the human part of them shows up, and, you know, you give your opinion. I'm like that a little bit. I'm very opinionated. And sometimes I wish that I wasn't. I mean, sometimes it comes out funny it comes out funny where people like, oh, you so crazy, or you so funny. But sometimes I feel like my opinion is needed, Mylira, not to a certain extent, because you do not have people that will tell you what you need to hear. Like, some people will tell you what you want to hear, but things that you need to hear, people don't. So I am that person. I mean, I ask God to keep working with me and things like that, because I'm super opinionated, to even where I didn't got in trouble, kicked out, put out of places, because, you know, voicing my opinion sometimes. So, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I got to run, guys. I'm out of town.
We'll talk after the show, because I need real help.
I got you.
Real help. That's what I'm saying. Oh, my God. I'm glad that you asked for it here, though. I'm sorry we ran out of time with y'all.
I'm okay. I'm like a real client. I get all the help. Like a real client. Mylira, Dr. Sabrina, Susie Landau. I'm like a real client. I'm okay with it, though, because once I'm done, they're not going to be able to mess with me.
Come on, somebody. All right, Mylira, what do you want to leave us with?
I just want to leave you guys with this. At the end of the day, communication is the key. So when it comes to that two people circle, just make sure that you are talking with one another. And if you're at a space where you feel like you can't talk, then discuss what's the best option. Because again, if I go from not liking you and then I like you again, the people that I told I don't like you, they ain't gonna like you either. So we just want to be mindful of how we're dealing with our two people circle, because it's definitely necessary, and you can have that healthy relationship. So Straya, I got you. We're gonna build your two people.
Trust me, I'm gonna call you, girl. I'm gonna call you.
Hey man, a great segment. I love you. Tell people how to find you.
Yes, you can find me at www.myliratransforms.com, or I am Mylira Transforms on Instagram, Mylira Green on Facebook. That's my sister Sonia up there. Love her to life. And then lastly as well, I'm going to keep telling you guys about the John Carlos Run for Humanities at Hampton University. That's going to be September the 21st through the 23rd. I'm going to have a panel discussion on that Thursday with community leaders. We're going to be talking about mental health, humanities, and the health of our community. That Friday, we're actually having a comedy show with Cletus Cassidy. I'm super excited about that. And
brilliant.
So giving out some awards to our unsung heroes. And then that Saturday is our run walk, and Dr. John Carlos himself is actually going to be there as well to just
hold up. Everybody, just in case you don't know, John Carlos is the black man who had the black glove on with his fist up in 1968 at the Olympics when they took his medal and everything, just because he stood up for black power. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so he's going to be there. So we just want to continue his legacy, myself and our team. Just want for people to understand that if we understand that people are valuable, then we'll start loving on one another a little bit more, and gun violence and all that stuff should be able to go down as well. So that's where you'll be able to find me at.
Mylira, you a human. You a real person. Because I saw the other day that you was jamming with your sorority sisters, Kaya Clan. Mylira is a real person.
She's a real deal, Holyfield.
Yes,
I love you.
Love her.
With a woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo. Y'all give it up. Mylira, like they said, you transform, baby. Thank you. You help us so much. Hey, y'all. As you know, it's the Michael Coylar Morning Show.